The United States is now considering removing the 15% tariff on South Korean imports. Hyundai's next-generation LG ships and Samsung's advanced semiconductors are ready to head for American shores. But there's a catch. Seoul must agree to a tariff-free trade deal. Otherwise, these investments may cross the Pacific in the opposite direction, leaving American voters with pricier fuel and electronics. So what is the Trump administration ready to give up to resolve this standoff? Will it prioritize short-term tax revenue, or will it bet on long-term industrial and tech supremacy? In this video, we'll break down the latest developments on the potential lifting of United States tariffs on South Korea and what the ripple effects might be if this deal goes through. But first, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video to stay up to date on all our content. A new chapter in the United States-South Korea trade battle began on July 29, 2025, when a shipping and semiconductor-centered proposal was unveiled. Under this deal, South Korea would commit to two major investments. If the Trump administration agrees to suspend the 15% tariffs it imposed in March 2024 on sectors like energy, petrochemicals, and automotive for a 5-year term. The first investment is an $8.4 billion offshore shipyard complex in the Mississippi Delta, led by Hyundai Heavy Industries. The second is a $1.66 billion expansion of Samsung Electronics' advanced chip manufacturing in Taylor, Texas, specifically for 19-nanometer DRAM and front-end wafers compatible with Tunum logic nodes. This package only goes into effect if a specific fourth tariff item, classified for national security in United States Customs reports, is also removed. Otherwise, Seoul has stated it will suspend all investment. South Korea even added a clause allowing it to withdraw within 90 days if the tariff isn't lifted. The United States left wiggle room, however, including language around the president's full discretion in any final decision. Using 2024 data, United States imports from South Korea totaled $118.9 billion, broken down into 23% automotive, 17% semiconductors, 8% petrochemicals and plastics, and 6% offshore shipbuilding. The remaining imports include machinery and other goods. That means $56.4 billion in trade falls under this tariff cut proposal. At a 15% rate, that equals $8.46 billion in annual customs revenue. The proposed shipyard in Mississippi will operate under a United States entity to comply with the Jones Act, building Culex-class LNG ships with a capacity of 180,000 to 220,000 cubic meters. Over 7 years, 56 ships are scheduled at a nominal value of $13.2 billion. If the tax remains, the project will shift to a joint venture between Qatar Energy and China's COSCO. Contracts for that route are already in place. This would exclude Texas-Louisiana shipyards from the supply chain. If the tariff is removed, at least 45% of ship production would involve United States-made components, creating 21,000 jobs and a wage fund of $1.8 billion annually. In parallel, Samsung has already received $2.1 billion under the United States CHIPS Act to develop its $17 billion Taylor facility. But the 15% tariff is really eating into profits by raising costs for high-end components, like EUV lithography tools, spare parts, photoresists, and 300mm blank wafers. Removing tariffs would cut input costs by 28% per ton, boosting net profit by $140 million annually based on a capacity of 10 billion layer equivalents. This also reduces United States dependence on DRAM imports from 48% to 34%, and helps counter Chinese rivals like CXMT Ningbo, which threaten United States-aligned players like Micron. If the tariffs stay, Samsung has said it will redirect funds to its Pyeongtaek 3 AI photonics node, canceling the Taylor expansion and returning the CHIPS grant, directly undermining America's tech security goals. Timing is critical. South Korea's central bank cut its 2025 growth forecast to 2.3%. Domestic capital is maxed out, and without foreign investment, the won could weaken rapidly. Since exports rely heavily on semiconductors and shipbuilding, any drop in foreign revenue due to tariffs will hit hard. Seoul's strategy is to use this investment tariff package to shore up its foreign exchange reserves. On the United States side, policymakers are focused on using the Taylor-Toussaint combo to support domestic manufacturing and energy security. The final decision will depend not on politics, but on cold, hard numbers. Cutting the 15% tariff means an $8.46 billion hit to federal revenue. But Mississippi gains $3.3 billion in state and local taxes from the shipyard, Texas gains $1.9 billion from Samsung's expansion, and Jones Act shipping adds $950 million in tonnage and fuel taxes. Altogether, that's a net gain of $2.3 billion over 5 years. The economic ripple effects from steel, diesel, turbines, software could add $11 billion to GDP. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the tax loss break-even point is 8 years. Tariff removal would slightly reduce inflation. Cars like Hyundai and Kia would drop $780, and TVs and monitors would be down 3.1%. The Consumer Price Index would fall by 0.04 percentage points. That slight CPI relief could, ease pressure on the Fed's high interest rate stance. If the United States refuses to lift the tariffs, Korea has a plan B. First, they could shift LG ship contracts to McGregor or CSSC, bypassing the U.S. shipyard. This would delay LNG terminal expansions in Louisiana and Texas, and Henry Hub prices could jump, raising summer electricity bills by 1.7%. Second, Korea could impose a 7% import tax on U.S. corn and sorghum, triggering pushback from the Iowa-Nebraska agricultural lobby. Third, they might restrict export licenses for urban air mobility battery systems. This would affect U.S. drone and air taxi developers like Archer, Joby, and others linked to LG's software, potentially delaying FAA certification. In finance, uncertainty would raise the foreign policy risk premium. 3-month implied volatility could rise from 7.2% to 9.4%. Korean equity outflows could total $4.7 billion. But with a deal in place, the second half of 2025 could see $1.9 billion in inflows. Samsung's 2-nanometer logic node is now vital since Apple's TSMC Arizona project is delayed. Lifting tariffs would clear the path for EUV photomasks and materials to reach Texas, allowing risk production by early 2027. This strengthens U.S. leadership in advanced nodes. The cost gap for DDR5 modules currently favors Korea by 1.06. Removing tariffs narrows that to just 0.14, making U.S.-produced DRAM globally competitive in the AI and server market. The $8.4 billion Mississippi shipyard is projected to hit 65% United States content, using components like dual-fuel LNG engines, high manganese steel, and containment systems. It will consume 2.2 million tons of high manganese steel every year. That's good news for suppliers like Cleveland-Cliffs. Labor intensity is significant, with 9,400 direct jobs, 11,600 indirect, and a 38% unionization rate. Complying with the Jones Act opens new corridors for United States energy exports and gives the Trump administration a clear industrial win. Some in Congress oppose the deal, arguing it gives Korean firms a backdoor into United States shipping. But since the project uses American management and tech licensing, it still meets the Jones Act. Democrats worry China or OPEC could benefit, but supporters argue this boosts Gulf energy exports, not dependency. So here's the financial summary. With tariff cut, there's $8.46 billion in lost revenue, $29 billion in foreign direct investment, $2 billion in annual tax revenue, an $11 billion GDP boost, a 0.04% drop in the Consumer Price Index, 0.06% GDP growth, and over 21,000 jobs. If tariffs stay, $8.46 billion in taxes collected, but there's no $11.6 billion CHIPS investment, no $8.4 billion shipyard project, a 0.07% CPI increase, 0.05% GDP growth, 5.4 million tons in LNG exports delayed, a 0.02% bump to agricultural GDP, and $2.3 billion in Iowa ag revenue. Bottom line, keeping tariffs results in a net welfare loss. The clock is ticking. The United States has until October through November to make a final decision. The 90-day countdown started on August 1st. Election models show a 2.1% voter swing toward tariff reduction in Michigan and Pennsylvania. But if tariffs hold, the steel industry narrative gains a 1.4% edge. South Korea has made it clear. This is a take-it-or-leave-it offer. Delays mean Taylor Pyeongtaek investment slots get locked, and Mississippi financing shifts from Japan's SMBC to France's BNP Paribas, increasing project risk. In the end, this is about four major trade-offs: inflation, industrial strategy, energy exports, and electoral math. Cutting tariffs means lower inflation, more capacity, export momentum, and swing state gains. Keeping tariffs means delayed projects, higher costs, foreign investment loss, and farm backlash. The clock is ticking, and if no signature comes, Korea will walk and America's 15% protection will protect nothing. Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dive content like this.